Hi, welcome back. I love you. Welcome back to my channel. I'm Sophia from Sophia L Mindset. So, here on this side of the internet, this little corner of the internet, we focused on bettering ourselves through our minds, right? Because I believe that's where the key to everything pretty much is within you. So we do that in various ways: therapeutic, gentle, soft, just flowy, feminine ways, no hustle or struggle necessary. We're up leveling, evolving, growing as a person in all the areas of your life, right? All the roles that you get to play in this life or are wanting to play, you get to have that. And how you get there is entirely up to you, but I prefer for it to be enjoyable, wonderful, loving, a beautiful experience, because it's not the destination, right? It is the journey. So that's what we do here. We do non-invasive mind surgery, you and me together, because teamwork makes the dream work. So, yeah, no, we're not going to do that. Everything is fine. So, today I want to talk about what I've gathered in my experience, in my life's journey, especially since I started getting into law of attraction and manifestation and what it means to create your reality. And, you know, we go through all of the phases. Like, is this bullshit? Is this true? It sounds woo woo. I wasn't raised with this stuff. I didn't grow up with stuff like this or even hearing about it. I just think if I could go back, I would have taken myself on this journey a long freaking time ago. I would have saved myself from a lot. And it's not that you don't experience hardship when you know how the law of attraction works. It's not that you don't have challenging times when you don't know how to work with your mind. Like, we're still going to experience life. We're still here living, breathing human beings, thank God. And so we're going to have experiences, good, bad, ugly, blissful, all of it, right? And that's okay. That's what we came here for. But wouldn't you want to deal with things better? Wouldn't you want to look back and be like, damn, that was hard, but I'm so freaking proud of myself for the way that I handled it, for the way that I worked with my mind, because that's what it comes down to. It's not reactive, it's responding. It's taking a minute, it's gathering yourself, it's giving yourself what you need, realizing, like, is this a catastrophe? Is this as horrible as it seems? And how can I best deal with this? Like, those are some questions you learn to be present and ask yourself when you're working with your mind. And this whole working with your mind thing is absolutely transformational. It is no small thing. I certainly didn't start my business to do little therapeutic shifts here and there that don't make an impact. Like, no, 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 no. No. This work is absolutely transformational, right? Like, it'll change your life in every area and every aspect of your life. Your relationships to yourself, first and foremost, and then to anybody and everybody that you care about, that you maybe work with, that you see on the day to day will change because you will change. And it's not that you become someone new. You know, I've said this before, but it's not that you become someone new. We don't want someone new. We want you. And it's just to become a better version of yourself. And you owe it to yourself, and you owe it to your children if you have them, or your future children, or the children, whatever children are in your life, like the people in your life, your parents. Like, you owe it to yourself. You owe it to yourself to become the best version of you so that you can enjoy this experience that is your life, right? So, on my, at least the last decade, on this journey of like learning how to really work with my mind, what that means, you know, choosing to stay the same. It's not even that it was so hard in the beginning, it's that it was so unfamiliar to me that I kept blocking it. We say we forget these things, right? And I still say this, like from time to time, I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot that I have power in this area of my life too. I don't know why we forget. We forget. Like, I'm often having these conversations, it feels like. And I think we block ourselves. There's this saying, is it Marianne Williamson that said it? That we are more afraid of what we could become instead of our failures. And I think it's such an interesting concept, because if that's true, how do we overcome that? Because I didn't come here to play small, did you? Like, I just don't think you did. I think if you landed on this video, I think if you were guided here, even if you're like, if you've tricked yourself into thinking, like, let me just see what she's going to say this week, or let me, whatever it is that you've tricked yourself into thinking, like, you actually came for the message, whether it's you, your soul, like, you came for the messages that are going to uplift you, whether you want it to or not. I know some of the people that have most changed my life first triggered me so bad where I couldn't stand them. Okay. Up level that in a way where I'm like, what is this mirroring back to me? You know, instead of just like, a trigger is something that you still need to heal, right? So when something triggers you, and there's layers to everything, right? So it's okay if you've worked on it before, like, don't get discouraged. It's not that deep. It doesn't have to be that deep. We don't have to go like, you know, and make this such a big deal and a big drama. Like, think of it as like, there's a little girl inside of you, you know, or a little boy, depending on who's watching. And their feelings were hurt, and they're not very logical children, you know, like, they don't get that it's probably a youth thing. They don't get that, like, when a child gets hurt, when their feelings get hurt, they don't think like, what's wrong with that person? They think, what's wrong with me, right? So I want you to just think of your inner child when triggers come up, and just like literally give yourself what you need in the moment. I'm telling you, people pay thousands upon thousands of dollars for this kind of information and this technique of how to heal things and how to work with yourself. So take it. If you just give yourself the unmet needs that you had as a child, when you are triggered, you will heal that part of you. And more and more. And maybe every time it happens, you just need another hug. Like, you know, there's this thing called havening, that you add pressure and this up and down motion. It feels the same as getting a hug from somebody, right? So that's incredibly healing. I think we need like 9 hugs a day for mental and emotional well-being. And you can give some of those hugs to yourself, right? Or all of them. Like, love yourself, be there for yourself, show up for yourself, you know, and then you give the opportunity for others to do the same. but they can't give you what you don't already have. Not for long and not for real. For real meaning where you'll accept it as like authentic and they're not trying to, they don't need something else from me. There's nothing underneath this. Like when you give it to yourself, you'll know that you deserve this kind of love, this kind of unconditional love, just because, we should all feel that way, but we don't. We don't. we don't. But we can work towards it, right? We can work with our minds because that's where all the answers actually are. So look, maybe you've watched The Secret before. Maybe you've watched TikTok videos or Instagram reels on manifesting and on creating your, best life, the best version of you. It all is one and the same. Like you can't fix one without the other. You can't do one without the other. Like version of you who has what you want is a different version of you than you are right now without it. Do you know what I mean? So it all gets to beautifully simultaneously get better, you know? And you get to heal in the process. And I really think it's such a beautiful game that we could play in this life when you have the hacks, when you have the tools to do so. And anyone could do this, practice this stuff, not all day, every day, but I fit it in because it's important, because it matters, because it moves the needle. It makes a freaking difference in my life, right? So you can do it too. You make time. We prioritize the things we want to. So, another way of working with your mind is to stop saying, I don't have time. I don't have time for that. I don't have time for that. Like, no, you are actually worthy and deserving of giving yourself time to do the things that will tremendously help you, your mind, your body, your soul, like all of it. So if you have time to go get a manicure and a pedicure, I think you have like 15 minutes a day to do some practices or even one practice that will change your life for the better, because that's the thing with our minds. We need the repetition, right? So we all have these beliefs, right? And what we believe will be true for us. There are some people living their best life, and there are others who are not. And there are others in misery. And then there are some people who money comes to them all day, every day. And then there are some who work all day, every day just to make ends meet. Then there are some people who are married to their soulmate, love of their life, and it just keeps getting better. Their love just keeps growing and getting better and better. And they have the children and the house, all of it. And then there's others whose marriage is the hardest part of their life. They're somehow have become like worst enemies, and they're raising children in this and try to make things work and try to make ends meet, but it's all so much work because they're not happy with themselves. It doesn't have to do with like what you do for a living. There are people in all walks of life that love who they are and what they do and love their life no matter how much money they have. The point is, it all comes down to your beliefs. So what do you believe? And if you're going to tell me that you know what your beliefs are, all of them, I want you to check yourself before you lie to yourself, because I'm not buying it. And I'm not buying it because I too thought I knew what my subconscious beliefs were. I thought, of course I know. I've been in my mind for so and so years. Like, of course I know. But no, it turns out your subconscious mind is your memory bank. It holds all your memories. Okay? All of your worthiness, your unworthiness, all your beliefs, your identity, what you think you get to have in this life, and what you think is unrealistic or evil or wrong or not for you because you're different. You come from a different background and a different family or whatever stories you tell yourself. All your stories also are in your subconscious mind. Think of it like your operating system. Okay. So unless you go in there, you don't actually know what it contains. So this is another reason why I love this work so much and why I've created the courses that I've created, because I know it's deep work and I know, because I've done the work with self-guided courses on my own time when I was ready for it, when I wanted to do it, and in my own privacy. And I've done it live in person, and I've done it on Zoom calls with where the camera had to be on and your mic had to be on. I've done it in all ways, and I mostly prefer to do it on my own time, especially as a busy mom. Like, I prefer to do it if it's 2 a.m. and I'm awake and I'm like, let me clear some shit. I go to my self-guided courses, and that I purchased from other mentors and coaches, and the ones that I've created, because they've helped me get from where I was to where I'm at and where I wanted to be from where I was. Does that make sense? So, you guys, it's such a freaking wild and beautiful experience to know where you were, where your mindset was, where your thoughts were, where your beliefs were, the way you were operating, the way you were living your life, the way you were reacting in your life to everything that happened, the good, the bad, the blissful, the ugly, all of it. How present you were with yourself, with your children, with your husband, with your parents. And then where you are now after you do the work. And then the fact that after you start to do that work and you realize, like, holy wow, it's working. It feels good and I feel so much better. And I have peace in my heart and in my soul, and I feel alive. And it's not like just living the same day. It's not monotonous all day, every day. It's like, and then you feel guilt. Like, why am I feeling this way when look at all that I have? My God, like, look at all I have to be grateful for. And then you play the guilt game on yourself. And it's like, all you have to do is look within. All you have to do, there's just some faulty programming in there. That's it. That we just need to, like, pull the weeds and replant some new, better seeds. That's all that it is. So, like, guilt, not necessary. Shame, not necessary. I know as women and moms, as humans, that's where we tend to go, but that is not necessary. We get to love ourselves and have grace for ourselves through this journey when we realize, like, oh, we were just a little kid when we took on this negative belief, this limiting belief. And we took it as truth and we made it mean something about us. We made it mean like they get to have whatever it was that you wanted that you didn't have, right? It's different for all of us, but whatever unmet needs that you had growing up, you get to give them to yourself. You get to give them to yourself. And like, I don't know if you realize what a gift that is, because unless you actually do it and you gift it to yourself, you're healing in real time. You're healing that inner version of you, that inner child, and you're healing yourself now. And it's like that integration is next level. It's something I can't even put into words because you have to experience it to get it. Like, how do you explain? There's so many things that we just can't, the words just don't do it justice, right? And this is one of those things. But you feel the energy behind it, right? And you feel my excitement and the tears in my eyes as I talk about it. Like, and that's what you get in containers like mine that I've created, because there was no way I could keep this all to myself. I teach it to my family, I teach it to my children, but it was like, even my husband at times would be like, you have to share this with other people's husbands. Like, you have, the way you lift me up, and the way, like, I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but I'm really freaking good at this. So it's just, I just am. Like, I found the thing that lights me up that also lights others up, and I found a way to monetize it. And I think that we can all do this in different ways. And I still get to be home with my children, which is my number one priority. So in the last 10 years, though, everything that I've learned, right? Every book that I've read, and I have read many, and I could make a video on that too if you'd like. Comment below, let me know, subscribe, like, share this with someone who may need this, who may get some good takeaways from this. All the books I've read, all the live events I've been to, all the podcasts I've listened to, all the YouTube videos I've watched, all, the documentaries, and even the movies on this stuff. What I have learned and gathered in my experience in the last at least 10 years of doing this work and learning this work is that you need, like, ultimate conviction. And it's not for who you may think the conviction is for. It's not for God. You don't have to convince God that you deserve this and that you will do good with it and you are worthy of it. It's not that you have to convince the universe. You don't have to convince your best friend, your husband or wife. You don't have to convince even your mom, even your mommy. The only person that needs convincing is you. It all always comes back to and down to you. And that is the good freaking news, because all you need is you. And yeah, I have a lot of faith and I'm a big believer in God and co-creating, and God has my back and we create the things together, and that he puts the desires in my heart and in all of our hearts, right? But you believe whatever you want to believe, right? But the point is that all the work is to get you behind it. It's to unblock you from your desires. It's to reprogram your mind so that you know that you are worthy, whole, and complete as you are, and you get to have everything that you want in this life. Like I often say, as long as it's not taking from another person or hurting another person, and I know everybody teaches something different, but that's where I stand with that. And you have a moral compass, like, you get to have it, and not only have it for like 5 minutes, but you get to have it forever. But you have to that's the work that it takes, is getting yourself behind it, is you believing like, oh, not only am I deserving of this, but like, I get to know what I'm doing. I get to nurture this thing properly, and I get to enjoy it, and I get to multiply it, and whatever it is, right? And I get to have more and more, and there's no cap. I cap myself. It's realizing that you're the only one that can limit you, right? Other people can say things, but that's more of a projection on them and their beliefs, and it could be mirroring something back to you that already lives within you, but they're just showing it to you again. So it's something that you want to look at and heal and just override with a better program. So like I said before, it requires repetition, right? Because if I say, if all my life I believed, if all my life I believed you can have one kid and be happy, but if you have two, oh, no, no, no. If you have two kids, then you go broke, your marriage falls apart, 2 kids is way too much to handle, it needs to be 2 parents and 1 kid because that you can handle, and you can still enjoy life and right? Let's just say, then that's what I'm going to experience. And if I want to reprogram my mind, which I did, if I've been thinking that way my whole life and believing that way my whole life or most of my life, it's not going to be enough for me to be like, no, actually, I want 2 kids and it's going to be perfect. And it's going to be amazing because your subconscious mind's job is to keep you safe and protect you, right? So it's always going to do that. So it's going to override any thought that it seems like, no, that's not true. Like, because we know that if you have more than one baby, it all goes to shit. It all falls apart. So we can't let her do this because we need to protect her, you know? Like it's working for you on your behalf, but you have to program it. It's running on an old programming and you want to just reprogram it for what you want. So that's going to take repetition. Think of it like this is science backed. You know, we have all these neural pathways that are beliefs, and we want to strengthen the ones, like override the ones that we don't want anymore. And that takes some time, right? But the key, the more feeling that you can invoke and feel when you're saying these things, it will convince your mind that, oh, this is true. Do you know what I mean? So you want to feel the feelings of what it is that you want, right? So when I was trying to get pregnant and finally learn to work with my mind on this in this area of life as well, because it's funny, like we think like we find the formula of how to create our reality and then we're like, but it can only work with like certain areas of life, which is just not true. It works in all areas. The formula works. So it works in all areas and it's just another block to like overcome, and it's fine. Again, we just notice it, we become aware of it, we could become more bigger, we become more powerful, you know, bigger than this thing, which is this is the problem, we are the solution. We're always going to overpower it, we're always going to be bigger, brighter, smarter, better, more resource, and we just work with it, right? And so we say, like, oh, that's cute. That's what you thought. Okay, here's the new deal. Actually, we get to have more than one child, and we get to be in love more than ever. And we get to, you know, carry on the family name and whatever else is important to us, right? Like, have more love in our lives, love another child, have another family member in our family, and like, grow our love. Like, look what our love does, you know? And so we work with our minds, we romanticize it, we make it this most beautiful love story. And you apply this in any area of your life, you know? And we fully convince ourselves that actually this gets to be beautiful no matter what we've seen, no matter what we've heard, no matter what beliefs, outdated beliefs we've had from that one person that said that one thing about their life, but doesn't mean anything about us and what we get to experience and what we get to have. And it gets to be what you say it is. It gets to be better than you can even imagine. And you start saying things like that. Actually, it gets to be better than I can even imagine. Every day, like it just gets better and better. I get better and better, my life gets better and better, my family gets better and better, happier, richer, more successful. The love grows, the light grows, the bliss grows, whatever it is. Like, say what you want to experience. Catch yourself when you're saying outdated things that you actually don't want to believe anymore. Like, take a step back and be present with it and look at it like this is not, it might not be something that you want to keep creating in your life or experiencing in your life, and definitely not something you want to pass down to your children. Even if you think you may be like realistic, why would you pass it down to your children if it's not something you want them to experience? Because they will believe you, and what they believe will be true for them, right? Because what you believe is true for you. And look at your life up until now, and you will find that that is in fact true. And if you don't connect the dots, it's because it lives in your subconscious mind and you just need to go a little deeper to find the limiting beliefs. And then you find out that you have all this power and that life was never working against you and that God actually does love you and have your back and you were created on purpose. You are here for so many beautiful reasons and you get to be happy and life will happen. Sure, of course, as it does and it will. But you will respond rather than react. You will know it's not the end of your world. It's just a challenging time and you find the light in it, and it gets to be better. And like, do you know those people that you see that are just happy no matter what happens? They find the joy, even though they've been through some really hard stuff that would break most people, right? But they're walking around and they're able to be happy and they're able to find joy and they're able to live life and be alive while they're living. And you get to choose better for yourself. So you get around people that think differently, think maybe this way, like, actually, how is this working out for you? It's not to fool you and it's not to dilute the situation. It's to keep you in your power. And when you stay in your power, that's the freaking goal. That's the goal. You don't want to crumble under pressure. You don't want to, you know, feel like things can break you and other people can break you. And not that they can't, but what if that just means that you loved so deeply and beautifully? And imagine when it's the real thing. If you've had your heart broken in a relationship, imagine how amazing it's going to be when the real, like, not even that wasn't real, but like when your person comes, when the person like that you're going to spend your life with, maybe if that's what you want, or your soulmate, or the father of your children, like, imagine how amazing that's going to be. Like, yeah, the pain is real and feel the pain, but no, it's not the end of you. It's not the end of you. You have so much more to live and enjoy and experience in this life. And I hope you take that with you. And so you seek people for the repetition part of this, right? So to really integrate these new ways of thinking and believing, right? That actually things get to work out in your favor. And then you find that they do. And actually you are lucky. And luck always comes your way. You have the best luck. And like, meanwhile, you're doing the work. Like, it doesn't take away from you, like putting in the efforts and every day, like, you're putting in the work, right? Like, we know this. It doesn't have to take away from that, but you also don't need to struggle. You also don't need to hustle if that's not what you want, right? But you have to believe that you can get whatever you want, that you can create the life that you desire without the struggle and the hustle, right? But in a soft, flowy, feminine, like, divine way, knowing God is on your side and has your back. And you're going to do the things. Like, you're going to show up for yourself. You're going to work with your mind. You're going to love yourself. You're going to pass this stuff down to your children. The ways that I do this in my courses for people who are wanting to elevate and up level and work with their minds in a flowy, fun way where you feel like you're doing it with your friend and it's a self-study thing on your own time when you're available, and you watch the trainings, which are video trainings, elevating the way you think and believe about yourself and what you believe to be true for you, right? And I've walked the walk, like, I've done all this. I got pregnant after nobody thought I was gonna get pregnant again, you know? Doctors, family members, like, I didn't think at times that it was gonna happen for me. There were times in my life over a 7-year period where I was, like, trying to convince myself that I was good and that my desire for another baby was something I was just going to have to get over because it just isn't in the cards, right? And that's a BS lie that I was telling myself, though I didn't know it at the time, right? And then I just prayed on it and asked for guidance. And I didn't pray from a beggy place. I prayed knowing God was going to deliver. God, show me what I'm missing here. Why do I want this so bad if it's not meant for me, you know? And at each step of the way I was guided, and that's in my other video that you can find on how I got pregnant with unexplained secondary infertility, and in my course, Fertility Mindset Makeover, which is a great course if you are wanting to conceive naturally or alongside IVF, because you still need to work with your mind and believe that this is going to work for you, because your body will reject it if you have these subconscious blocks. So whatever it is, IUI, anything that you are using to get pregnant. And again, if you want to get pregnant naturally, which is what I wanted and what I knew I got to have, I just didn't know how I was going to do it. And then I figured it out. So that's all in my fertility course. And I have rapid transformational therapy in there that I am certified in, to get to the root cause of what's blocking you, and hypnosis for that repetition piece, to reprogram your mind and thicken those new neural pathways. That's what you're doing. Every time you listen, every time you say the new belief, you are thickening the neural pathway in your brain. Like, so if it helps to visualize that, literally see it thickening every time you listen to the hypnosis audios, every time you say the new belief. And look, we're only human. We're going to say the old beliefs like, oh, this never works out for me, or whatever it is that you're saying. Like, another month I didn't get pregnant. As soon as you find yourself saying that, you catch yourself, you notice it. Actually, that's not true for me anymore. I get pregnant easily and quickly. I get pregnant easily and quickly. I am so fertile, right? You're going to say what you want to believe. I have affirmation tracks on there. I have hypnosis tracks. I have EFT tapping videos to really reprogram your mind and in natural, beautiful ways that feel right to you. So you can use all of them, you can use some of them, but it's important that you use them every day to, again, thicken that new neural pathway. And that will be the dominant belief, and it will be true for you, because you are the only person that you have to convince, again, for anything that you desire, right? So you decide. It's in your hands. And if that triggers you, it's because you don't trust yourself with the power. You'd rather it be like God's doing or your spouse is doing. I know when I was trying to get pregnant, or during that time, because it was a very long period of my life, 7 years, I remember at one point, one of the doctors that I had been working with asked me if my husband ever got checked. And I was like, oh my God, it's him. I was convinced, okay? It never crossed my mind that it was him, right? Because it's always the woman that's the problem. So, which is obviously not true, but that's how I was made to feel by everybody. What's wrong? Are you? And asking me all the questions. Meanwhile, nobody asked him anything ever. What was his diet like? Did he exercise? Anything, nothing, right? It was all me. So I believed, of course, it's obviously me. So I was convinced because I didn't realize this at the time, of course, but in hindsight, I so badly wanted him to be the problem. I know that's messed up, but it's the truth. And for me to just be relieved of that pressure and that guilt and that shame that my body wasn't doing what it was supposed to be doing. Then, of course, the results came back and he was freaking perfect. And it wasn't him, but it also wasn't me. And even if there is something not perfect with you, seemingly not perfect with you, and I say that because what we focus on, we give power to. Don't focus on it. Do not make it bigger than you, whatever it is. PCOS, endometriosis, maybe you don't have a regular cycle, whatever it is, do not make it bigger than you. You are bigger than anything else, okay? You decide what's true for you. Actually, I get my period like clockwork every single month, and you start programming your mind with these beliefs. It doesn't matter what has occurred until now, because if it did, if that mattered, I would have never had my son. I would have never believed that I was going to get pregnant after trying for 7 years. Okay. That's a really long time. And with nobody being able to tell me what the problem was. So if there was no problem, there was no solution. I wanted there to be a problem. Like after a while, I was like, okay, this isn't working out. Like if there's no problem, how do I fix this? How do you fix something that's not broken, that they're telling you is not broken? It almost felt worse. I wanted there to be steps for me to take. And I didn't know what those steps were because doctors weren't giving me a problem, right? Of course, that was a blessing. And I'm sure, and I realized that. But you have to understand where I was coming from so badly wanting this baby and not being able to even conceive, And so I finally started working with my mind and reprogramming my mind. And you can call it lying to yourself, you can call it being unrealistic, you can call it whatever you want, but then it's just not going to work as well for you. For me, I really wanted this to work. So I started saying, this is going to work. This is the thing that's going to get me to my baby. This is what's going to work. And then it was true. You can call it delusional. Like, let's just stop labeling things and calling it names. What if you're being delusional, living the life the way that you've been living, where it's just not working out for you? And, nothing is going the way you want it to go, or maybe some things, but not in this area. In this area, there has to be struggle. Like, what? No. It's just not true. You believe it to be true, therefore it is true for you, but it doesn't have to be true for you. So we get to decide what we believe, right? Then I went through a whole self-love journey. I started feeling, I had everything I wanted. I finally got pregnant and had a beautiful, healthy pregnancy, looked freaking amazing, felt amazing, which, if you know my story, felt like I thought pregnant women were like ugly and fat. And I know it's so mean, but because that was my first experience with pregnancy, so I was like, oh, great. Like unattractive, heavy, just nothing fits you cute. You just don't look cute for 9 months. And like I completely reprogrammed that and felt like a freaking goddess. I literally felt better than ever. Like I felt more attractive. I felt more beautiful than I've ever felt before. And it was because I was working with my mind. I reprogrammed my mind to believe actually pregnant women are like walking goddesses, you know? And that's what I experienced. So this work works. After a little while, I started feeling like just like giving, to the baby, to my husband, to my daughter, to everybody, and just like feeling super depleted. So I went through like a whole self-love journey and really went in with my inner child and did a lot of inner child work and healing to feel unconditionally loved and give that to myself, feel that for myself, and learn how to give that to myself because we're all different, right? And learning what that even meant for my inner child and what that was, and learning how to check in with myself and how to show up for myself, right? And then everybody else also were like just loving on me so much better than ever. But they couldn't do that until I first knew how to love myself and learn how to love myself. So in my self-love course, the greatest love story, the one with you and you, and that's coming from a happily married woman, but I do believe it's true. And I do have a daughter that, just especially for girls, but for my son also, of course, for males too, like, need to know how to like love themselves fully and not look for it from another person. You get to give it to yourself and then they multiply it. Everybody else that loves you just multiplies the love you already have within you. And it's just such a beautiful experience that I've never experienced really before that. Not in depth and not for forever. It's not like a few day thing and then it goes away. Like, no, I just every day, it's like my new standard. And so that's what we do in The Greatest Love Story. Again, with rapid transformational therapy is in there to learn why you believe that you aren't lovable and worthy and deserving of love. And there's my video trainings in there, and then all the audios to reinforce, and to reprogram your mind for the ultimate self-love. It's a really powerful and beautiful journey. And again, you are not the same when you enter that course, and when you come out of it, you're just a lit up better version of yourself. And I really love this work. It's what I'm really good at, and it's what I love to do. And I've been doing it my whole life for the people who I love. And I've just gotten better and better at it as I learn to give it to myself also. And yeah, and then I have my Healing Hearts program. We are approaching the end of 2025. If you are holding on to anger and guilt and shame or resentment for yourself or for others, I created that course to carry you through to the other side of all of that, which is freedom. It's freeing yourself. I want you to think of it as like you're being chained to all these heavy burdens that you are choosing to carry. And I know it's things that you didn't choose to happen, but they happened to you. And that is very real and true. But what you choose to do moving forward is entirely up to you. And so you can free yourself from it and know that God didn't want you to carry this with you forever. You can take the lessons and leave the baggage. And that's what I walk you through. And that's what we reprogram your mind for inside Healing Hearts, my forgiveness program. So again, these are self-guided courses that change you and literally reprogram your mind. I don't know what's better than that. I don't know. You're just so worthy of this. And whatever it is that you are calling in and wanting to bring in your life, those resources are available for you at this time if you desire to go into 2026 with a fresh start, like feeling brand new and feeling good. And if you really are desiring change and experiencing something better, just having a better life experience, feeling alive, and you get to do and experience all your heart's desires. They are there for a reason. They are safe guidance. They are your compass throughout life that will bring you to your next steps that you're supposed to take on this journey of life, is what I believe. So I love you. You are worthy and deserving of all your desires. And thank you for being here. And I will catch you in the next video. So if you were here till the end, leave a purple heart and, like, subscribe, maybe share with someone who could use this information. And to your next level, to your highest self, and to your living your best life. Okay.